EVPN over an Adva and a Juniper network. Can it be done? Most people would say Adva is a carrier Ethernet company or an optical company. What would they know about MPLS and EVPN? Well, my name's Andy Mulheirn from Nomios in the UK, and I'm here to tell you that it can be done. Over the next 5 minutes, we're going to talk through a topology and a working example of just such a service across a sort of joint multi-vendor network. The reasons you might want to do this I'm going to outline in another blog post, but you probably want to do it for operational efficiency, for making your network more simple, and for choosing the best path for packets through your network. But anyway, that aside, let's dive straight into the topology that we've got here. Now, this is a diagram of what we've set up in the lab here. On the left-hand side, you can see some orange boxes, Adva XG400s. They're running MPLS with LDP. And on the right-hand side, there are some blue boxes, which are Juniper MX80s. The top right-hand corner is the route reflector. So that is running BGP with an EVPN address family to signal VPN membership from end to end. And then in the very top left of the diagram, there's a traffic generator, Ethernet 1, the ostinato traffic generator, crucially has an IP address of 1111 and a MAC address beginning 80. And it's sending traffic at a rate of 1,000 packets per second to the bottom right-hand corner of the diagram, which has Ethernet 2 of the ostinato traffic generator with a MAC address of 74. So the EVPN is signalled from port 11P4, flow point 1000 to the bottom right hand corner GE102 VLAN 1000. So let's have a look at the router. This is the Juniper router in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, and we're going to look at the route table for the EVPN 1000, and we can see there's nothing much in it at the moment. There's a type 3 inclusive multicast route there. Now if we move over to the Adva side of things, we're going to look at the flow. And on this Adva under flow here, we've got flow 1000 has been configured. And if we edit that, we can see that it is currently out of service. That's why there's nothing in the Juniper routing table, because nothing's been signaled across. I'm going to go into ostinato, our traffic generator device, which is running on a Linux host in the lab. And if we look at Ethernet 1, that's the MAC address 80 that I was showing on the diagram in the top left, just here. So Ethernet 1 has got 1111 as the IP address, and we can see here it's sending 999 or 1,000 packets per second across the network. That's the send rate. But Ethernet 2, you can see, is a 0 there. That's receiving nothing at the moment because there's currently no EVPN in place. So Ethernet 2 is bottom right. So if we switch this, back in the Adva world, we're going to switch this into service now. Click apply. And if we scroll down to flow 1000, we can see that it's gone green, it's in service, it's operationally normal. So that all looks quite promising. Moving across to the Juniper world, we can see now in the routing table some more things have appeared. A type 2 route that's got the MAC address 80 in it, so that's been signalled from the Adva to the Juniper, and you can see the paths and the labels that can be pushed for that. If we go back to the traffic generator, we're still sending our 1,000 packets a second, but still nothing is being received. The reason for that is an ARP hasn't gone across the network from one interface to the other of the traffic generators. If I click the ARP, the send ARP button there, you can see 999 packets are now being received successfully. So what we're sending, we're receiving. And if we look back at the Juniper again, we can see even more information has appeared. So now we've got a type 2 route there for 74. That wasn't present a moment ago. That's the receiver interface, Ethernet 2. And we can see a MAC to IP binding for the 74 MAC address. So 740003 is IP address 1112. So that's all as we would expect. Clicking back over to the Adva side of things, this is the global VRF, and if we click into the MPLS section of that, we can see the Adva is learning labels for the loopbacks of all the other devices in the network. So there's the outer label 299840 has been learnt, and this is the implicit null label. So that's all working as we would expect. And here is our EVPN 1000. It's tied to Flow 1000. And if we click into that and click MAC IP advertisement route, this is the Adva equivalent of that Juniper table we saw. So there's the local address 80 and there's the remote address 74 with the IP bound to it. And if we click onto that, we can see the label for the VPN 301008. So there you have it, EVPN working seamlessly across a Juniper and an Adva network. Now Juniper have been very successfully deploying EVPNs for quite some time, and it's a fairly well-known quantity. We sell a lot of Juniper equipment to altnets, and adding this Adva piece to it shows that they've obviously focused on standardization and interworking quite well. So the fact that these two vendors work so well together seems very encouraging. Our next steps will be probably to scale up the testing, so send more MAC addresses into the VPN, conduct some failover testing, that kind of thing, to see how well, rather than just the functionality, how well it functions at scale. And then we'll be able to report back on that at a later date.